So there's this rabbi missionary, and he goes to South America and goes to visit a remote tribe of natives called the Trids, and he's living with them and trying to convert them, teaching them about Yahweh. And there's this tradition, the Trids every day, there's no clean water around, so the Trids grab buckets and containers and they have to hike 5 miles to the bottom of a mountain. They have to get up before dawn, carry these empty buckets and containers to the bottom of this mountain 5 miles away, and then hike up the mountain, which takes another 2 hours. At the top of this mountain is a beautiful spring of crystal clear drinking water. Unfortunately, also at the top of this mountain is their rival tribe, the Bagumbas. And every day the Bagumbas wait at the top of that mountain for the Trids to arrive. And when they do, they kick them violently down the mountain. Many Trids are injured every day, falling down the mountain with their buckets and containers and falling, hitting their head, breaking limbs, getting scratched up. And every day the Trids manage only to secure a tiny amount of water, just enough water for their tribe, the bottom of the mountain 5 miles away, to survive another day. And this has been going on for generations. Every day, a new group of Trids, who's ever least injured from this water fetching quest, get up before dawn, take their buckets and their containers, walk 5 miles to the bottom of a mountain, up this mountain, which takes another 2 hours, and try to fill these containers with crystal clear drinking water, only to be kicked down the hill by their rival tribe, the Bagumbas. And the rabbi notices this and asks, why only a small amount of water? And they explain, well, we have to take all these containers, wake up before dawn, take all these containers, hike to this mountain, climb up the mountain to get this water, only to be kicked violently down the mountain by the Bagumbas, our rival tribe. And the rabbi says, why is it that way? And they say, well, it's been going on that way for generations. It's the way of the world down here. And the rabbi thinks, well, this is unacceptable. Maybe if I go with the Trids, who I'm so fond of after living with them, and if I go with them and hike 5 miles to the bottom of this mountain and climb another 2 hours to the top of this mountain, I can talk to the Bagumba tribe and I can spread the word of Yahweh and his teachings, and maybe there will be peace in the region and enough water to go around for everybody where they can live comfortably, and the Trids won't have to live day by day with only the necessary amount of water that they can get from climbing to the top of this mountain and collecting this water just enough to survive without being kicked by the Bagumbas. So the next day, before dawn, the Trids set out and the rabbi accompanies them. They get to the bottom of the mountain. It's very far. They climb up the mountain and the rabbi climbs with them. And they get to the top of the mountain and the rabbi sees what he's heard about. The Trids are being violently kicked down the hill by the Bagumbas, just kicking them, falling. The elderly, the women, the children, they don't care. Just kicking them violently down the hill so they can't get water. Only a few of them manage to sneak by and grab a tiny amount of water. It spills out of the buckets as they run, and by the time they get down, they only have a little bit to survive. And the rabbi is furious because they're not kicking him. The Bagumbas are completely leaving the rabbi alone. Perhaps they sense he's not really a Trid and he's just visiting, but for whatever reason, he is able to walk right to the spring, collect all the water, and they ignore him completely. And the rabbi is furious, and he demands to speak to the Bagumba tribal elder. And the Bagumba say, well, of course you can speak to our tribal elder. And so they bring him in. He waits outside for a little bit, and they bring him in to the tribal leader's home. And the rabbi is incensed. He says, why? Why do this? Why prevent people from getting water? And more importantly, why didn't you kick me down the hill? Why would you kick all of these people, women, children, boys and girls, fathers, mothers, grandparents. Why would you kick them down the hill and leave me alone? And the Bagumba elder says, Silly rabbi, kicks are for trids.